Welcome back to the podcast of Heal Without Harm. My name is Dr. Clayton Durr, physical therapist and the one bringing you the truth about the medical system. Today's podcast is going to be over GLP-1s, weight loss, nutrition, and everything in between. The last one we talked about with Becky, I brought up GLP-1s and kind of her outlook on it. And today I wanted to bring two perspectives in. So we've got one gal who is somebody who, I don't know if the right word is prescribe, but gives out GLP-1s and helps people change their lives. And then the other gal is a nutrition coach who's been doing it for quite a while. And I want to have a little bit of a kind of mediated conversation back and forth between the two so that you, the listener, knows the best way to go about changing your life, your nutrition habits, and know more about all the tools out there. So let's start with Kellie. How would you, let's say, self-label in regards of this aspect?
With relation to the GLPs and nutrition and that type of thing, I am the one at Evolve that oversees the program. I'm the one working with the patients as far as their nutrition and dosing to a degree. The physicians are the ones that are actually prescribing. So I'm working with them. But we really focus a lot more heavily on like lifestyle change and things and using the GLPs as a tool to help people be successful.
What is Evolve Healthcare?
So Evolve Healthcare is a clinic, non-insurance-based clinic where we provide direct primary care services, hormone services. Weight loss has become a huge portion of our practice. So yeah.
Gotcha. So on that, and real quick, you guys weren't initially going to offer weight loss services.
Correct.
When they kind of hit the market. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
So what changed?
So we opened January of 2023. I believe. Yeah, 2023. At that time we had no interest in being in the weight loss business. But we had so many patients that were asking us about them because they either read about it on the internet or their friend was taking it and lost a lot of weight. And so we thought, okay, we need to probably do this to best support our patients already, but then wanted to make sure that we were doing it right and responsibly.
Exactly. And I think that's the reason I wanted to have this podcast. Well, the one that I recorded last with Becky, but then this one as well, like we were talking before we hit record, is there's so much information going on out there. And I think all of us know what we know, but the general public is kind of left in the cold on who to listen to and where to get their information.
Absolutely.
And it seems like it's almost who can get it to them the most frequent or the fastest. And so A lot of people seem to be consuming it through social media or commercials or things like that. And so that's where I wanted to bring this in. And so a pause on kind of your perspective. And I want to say hi to Becca. She's a nutrition coach. She's been doing this for numerous years. If you don't mind, tell everybody a little bit about what you do and what a nutrition coach is.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Rebekah Morse. I'm here at Natural Wellness and work with a lot of our clients on their nutrition. I'm a coach. And so basically what that means is I kind of can walk alongside someone as they are working towards their goals and give them feedback, give them guidance, help them sometimes unlearn things that they think to be true about health and nutrition, and then help educate them on things that are actually going to be helpful for them. A lot of times that's just listening and asking questions, getting people to really think through the choices that they're making when it comes to their health and nutrition. And my goal for my people is always to help them live longer, healthier lives and help them thrive for as long as possible. Of course, while helping them meet their shorter term goals too.
What are, if you looked at the last 100 people you helped, what are the number one or two goals that most people show up to work with you?
Typically, most people have some kind of weight loss goal in mind, whether that's 5 or 10 pounds. I've also had people who are 50 to 100 pounds. It varies from person to person. But more recently, I've had a lot more females coming in, I think because in our world, we work with a lot of people who care about maintaining muscle and aging well. And so a lot of females in the 50, 60, even 70-year-old range, making sure that they just want someone to have eyes on what they're eating and making sure they're getting enough protein and that they're setting themselves up to maintain muscle and, have good quality of life in their later years.
For sure. So when it comes to weight loss, I'm trying to figure out how to frame this question. When people have come to you, what are some quick and easy levers that you pull with them to start getting either them to shape perspective around the weight loss or just initially getting those first 5 to 10 pounds off?
Yeah. I typically really like to look at what people are eating first, just so I can get kind of a snapshot. Because sometimes people will say, well, I'm doing all these things and some people report accurately, other people don't. And so it is nice to just see what they're doing and see where I can quickly say, okay, well, for most people, they're under on protein, they're under on vegetables and fruits, they're over on carbohydrates and fats. And so we just try and balance some things out to start. Other people are way under on calories and just need to add some more food to their diet just so that they are eating enough to actually function and fuel themselves. And so, for weight loss, a quick thing would be make sure you're prioritizing protein and vegetables in your meals. Eat those first.
Yeah.
That's one of the things. And make sure you're eating throughout the day.
So you said though, most of this topic's around weight loss, but you said a lot of people are under eating even on calories. How are people under eating on calories, but at the same time wanting to lose weight?
Well, sometimes people are just in the diet, they've been on a diet for so long, they're under fueled. And so their body is I like to think of it as they're in protection mode and they're just holding on to extra weight. Just in case of emergency. And so for some people who are way under, I want to make sure that they are educated on eating enough food, get them back to eating kind of a normal amount. And then we can talk about, let's do a calorie reduction. So then they see some weight loss. So it's kind of interesting when someone who's been coming in or eating 1,200 calories a day for a long time, when they start increasing their calories, they actually start to release some extra weight. Mm-hmm. It seems really backwards, but
the appropriate processes can't work though if they're not properly fueled initially.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll come back to this in particular because I want to kind of keep bouncing back and forth. So, Kellie, how long have you been working along men and women who are using GLP-1s, and who is usually a good candidate for starting on these medications?
So I've been working with GLP candidate or patients for the last 3 years intensively. And I don't know if you can say there's an ideal candidate, which is one reason why we have set up visits that when patients come in and they think that's what they want, we set up a discovery visit and we start talking through what their goals are, kind of what their history has been and that kind of thing. Because we have patients who are, maybe they initially wanted to come in for weight loss, but they saw benefits from they may have some other chronic condition that causes a lot of inflammation in the body or things like that. And these GLPs can be really effective in inflammation reduction. And so most patients who are kind of that quintessential candidate are ones that are looking for weight reduction. They struggle with food noise, cravings, emotional eating, things like that, because they're highly effective at kind of reducing that and kind of getting, I always call it, let's get that out of the way so then we can focus on the things that we can, that are going to affect your long-term success, which is the nutrition and the exercise and those kinds of things. So I would say that the patients that struggle with those types of really loud food noises and cravings and almost more of addictive type things, they definitely benefit tremendously.
So if someone's interested and they came in to Evolve, they walked in the front door or made a phone call and said hey, I'm 50 pounds overweight. I've tried 7 different diets in my life and I'm finally ready to just do whatever it takes. Mm-hmm. I've seen some of these medications and I want to come in. What is those either first couple of visits or what is the whole setup process look like for you guys?
So the first visit is, like I said, a discovery visit with me. And that's where we just kind of dive into what are their goals, what have they done before, what has worked for them, what hasn't worked for them, what their current situation looks like. At that point, I'm kind of also judging what their tolerance to change is, because something as simple as, have you ever tracked your food?
Mm-hmm.
And if they say no, then my next question is, are you open to it? Because if they're not open to even tracking food, we're probably not going to be super successful when it comes to even GLPs. Because
even with that assistance,
yeah,
because
our perspective is that it's a tool, one tool in the toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
It is not the answer. It is not going to do all the work. And so if the person's expectation is that the GLP is going to do everything for them, kind of like the magic bullet, the magic pill, then we most likely aren't going to prescribe for them. Because we know that if that's the approach we're taking, that we're going to have to use a lot of the medication, most likely, to get a result. But then, two, we're going to have muscle loss versus fat loss, and we're not going to have long-term success, which is our ultimate goal.
Yeah. So they get through that first visit. Is it like a 10-minute, 30-minute, hour-long?
It's usually about 30, 45 minutes, just kind of depends. And then if it sounds like, yep, they're motivated, they kind of check the boxes that we have as far as an ideal candidate for our program. Then if they haven't already had labs done, then we will do labs. We have a lab panel that we require every patient entering our weight loss program to complete. Part of it is hormone assessment, because hormones affect successful weight management directly. I call it the foundation almost.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we look at insulin, we look at, all the different metabolic levels. And then they would set up a consult with the physician to make sure they go through their family history, their personal history, and make sure that they are that these medications are safe for them. And then if everybody's on board that, yeah, they're a great candidate for us, then they would start the program, which then ends up being 9 weeks in office with me weekly.
Okay. So what do those 9 weeks look like? Because I know what they look like, and I really appreciate your guys' outlook on doing this like the most long-term way possible. But what goes on in those 9 weeks other than just taking the shot or doing the medication?
So the shot and the dosing adjustments are, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes total of a 30-minute visit. All the rest of it is talking through their food diaries, talking through what struggles they had this last week, what successes did they have this last week, what did their exercise look like, looking at all of that, because that's honestly the more important piece. The dosing is pretty straightforward and simple. We're looking for, minimal side effects, maximum results. So while we weigh everybody, but I tell everyone when they start with me, if I don't react because the scale hasn't moved, that's because it's the least important measure to me.
Yeah.
We do body scans regularly. So we track that. Because what we're really looking for is no muscle loss if possible. So in a lot of cases, we see increase if they have deployed their tools correctly, nutrition and exercise, but that the fat or the weight that we are losing is fat. So sometimes there's no change on the scale, but we scan and we see that, oh, okay, fat's gone down and skeletal muscle mass has gone up. Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's why we're the same.
For sure. And so, Becca, other than the implementation of labs, which I know sometimes you'll recommend people get, and then the medication, how much different does nutrition coaching sound compared to what Kellie just kind of described? Weekly visits, going over food diaries.
That's very similar. And I love that you guys do that. I've worked with clients who have worked with medical professionals when they're going through their GLP-1s and actually learning the process and getting everything done. And I've worked with people who have not had somebody doing that with them weekly, someone that they're accountable to. And that scares me a lot for people who don't have the direction and guidance and someone monitoring their dosing and someone educating them weekly like that. I think that's super important because if you're just doing the medication itself, you're not actually doing the work, like Kellie said earlier. with any kind of real change that you want to make in your life, there is work involved. There's no easy button. There's no magic potion or pill. If you want lasting change, if you want change that is, actually really going to make a difference for you for years and years and years, you've got to change something, because something got you to a place where you feel like you've gained 50 pounds or whatever, right? There's something that got you there. How do we address that? What have you not been doing? What needs to change? And so I love that they're doing that. So what was your original question?
Yeah. So my question was, there's a lot of similarity or overlap, I would say, with what Kellie described versus what at least my perspective is on nutrition coaching.
Yeah.
Right. And so those weekly visits, check-ins, and ultimately what I've heard from both of you and what I observe in myself whenever I decide to lose some fat for whatever reason is you just have to start tracking, right? You just have to start writing down everything you're eating.
Yes. Paying attention to, with anything is one of the most important things you can do. I think people sometimes kind of wing it and that gets them into a lot of trouble, because when you're winging it and you live in our current setup, like when I drive home from work every day, there are probably 20 different places I could stop and grab pizza, ice cream, French fries. So if you're just winging it and you're just going on, I'm either, triggered emotionally, or I'm just hungry because I didn't eat lunch today, or it's so easy just to do the quick, convenient thing versus a little bit of planning, a little bit of mindfulness about what you're eating, writing down, tracking, okay, how much protein am I getting in a day? Am I actually eating a vegetable? I'm not really shocked, but the number of people that I see, when you look at food diaries or food journals, it's like you had 0 vegetables in these 3 days of eating that I looked at. And they're usually like, oh, I guess I didn't even realize I wasn't doing that.
I would say it's very easy not to. I'm tracking everything right now, and I have systematically chose what to eat for breakfast and lunch every day. And it took an intentional decision to put in peas and carrots at my lunch every day.
Yeah.
To where it wouldn't be that hard to eat, a protein bar for breakfast, chicken and rice for lunch. And this is going the quote healthy way, right? Chicken and rice for lunch, and then steak and potatoes, which I guess is a starchy vegetable, but for dinner. And it's that, it's very easy to not eat that just because there's so many convenient, tasty foods that meet macros at the end of the day and debatably meet calories. And this is somebody who's still trying to intentionally eat well,
sure,
and naturally just dodges the vegetables. And so what I've observed is I think it also comes back to how were you raised? What culture were you kind of put into every day when it came to the kitchen? Was it boxed meals? Was it canned food? Was it shopping not shopping, but going out to eat every night, whether it be picking up something and bringing it home? You almost don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
That's been my biggest observation
Absolutely.
around a lot of this, which has been beneficial for the GLP-1s to come out and stoke these conversations, because
Absolutely.
you really get people to start auditing themselves. Be what are you eating? Let's just go with that.
Yeah.
Ultimately. And so I wanted to bring up the fact that she was doing a version of nutrition coaching, or at least just observation and check-ins and accountability kind of moving forward, and the overlap that in my perspective is with you and nutrition coaching, Becca. I am curious though, how long have you been doing nutrition coaching?
Since 2019. So what is that?
7 years now?
7 years, yeah.
And then you've been doing this for 3.
About 3.
When did GLP-1s really hit the market with more gearing towards weight loss?
Gosh. It was probably about the same time as what you're describing as starting to coach, right?
Probably
where
so,
it blew
but they
up.
were not
I think
a big thing in our world for quite a while. And the last couple of years is really when I've seen
GLPs in and of themselves have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Decades, honestly.
Is it a new discovery? Is it just cranking up of the medicine?
Well, I think that when they started using them for more targeted for diabetic use and blood sugar treatment and things like that, I think and then they found the happy accident of weight loss. And this probably isn't politically correct to say, but I think it was a money grab initially. And so but the reality is it works for people. And if done right, it can change lives.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, really can.
For sure.
And that's why I always like cringe when people are like, oh, they're too scary. Oh, you're going to kill all your muscle. Oh, no, not if done right.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've seen it over and over and over in our patient population. When done right, we can reset for people dramatically.
Yeah. I want to come right back to that. But where I was going with the timing is you've done nutrition coaching before GLP-1s were even an option.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many clients you've seen now that are either on them or debating them, but what have you seen kind of difference between 5 years ago and being a nutrition coach now, whether it be conversations you're having, results you're witnessing, like whatever that may be? What are some differences you've observed?
I mean, I have seen more people in the last 2 years that come in on GLP-1s already.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just looking for, I need some guidance around making sure I'm doing this the right way, making sure I'm eating the right things so I don't lose all my muscle. They are scared.
Mm-hmm.
They're scared to lose muscle. They're scared to have people talk about
Ozempic face
and Ozempic butt. And I'm
Ozempic
like,
teeth. Yeah, there's all
yes. They want to, in our world, they also are like, oh, I know you guys do strength training. And so they want guidance just around all of that and making sure. But I don't see them as different than anyone else. I mean, most of the people that are coming in and are on a GLP-1 do view it as a tool, and they want to. They recognize like I've got to change some things, and so that's why they're here. They're
Mm-hmm.
looking for, how do I make this sustainable? And one of my questions for them is, what's your end goal here? Like, what's the game plan for long term? Do you plan to be on this for the rest of your life? What are you trying to do? And most of them want to eventually get off of it or be on like a micro dose and have all their other habits kind of dialed in. But they also, it's going to take some time to build those habits typically.
For sure.
So
what is the long-term view in your eyes, Kellie?
I think it depends on the person. Our goal always when we start is I'm looking at when's the finish line. Like the goal is to have them off of them.
Okay.
Use them as a tool, get them where they need to be from a body composition standpoint so they can be successful. They're, like you said, their habits are dialed in, things like that. And then we transition off. But we do have not a decent amount, but a fair amount of patients that maybe they got other benefits from it. I have a couple of fibromyalgia patients that we found out at 5 and 10 units, which is less than the starting dose of a commercially branded, their pain is still gone. And so when we transitioned off, even though their weight's perfectly stable and we got to their goals and they're really doing well there, we found that at that 5, 10 units, or like I said, a little bit less than starting dose with a commercially branded, that when we transitioned beyond that, their pain came back. So they just are staying on it and are at a really low dose.
Yeah.
And I had another guy that said, well, my snoring came back. He didn't gain any weight, but his snoring came back. So he stayed on a low dose because his snoring went away.
Yeah.
And I had another one that was able to get off his CPAP machine, but when he, so it just various things. So I think that there are some long-term uses, I guess, but our goal is always to, if it's best for the patient to
I've seen some things that talk about how either they're worried about or there has been research that shows that when people come off of the GLP-1s, they get a lot of the weight back.
Yeah. So typically, I think if you really dug into those, you would probably find that the body composition wasn't ideal before they came off. That's what we look at is I start counseling people when we start getting close to like our body fat percentage goals, and we know that our lean mass is good, then we start working on what's our transition plan.
And
I had that conversation twice yesterday with patients.
And what is body composition, just for the listeners?
I mean, it kind of depends on what is it?
Like just what is it?
Oh, so we're looking at like the body fat percentage, lean mass really is the majority of what we're looking at.
Mass?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Is generally what we're looking at.
Is there certain ideal numbers? Because I know there's like the BMI, which sometimes is good, sometimes is not good. Is there certain numbers that you're loosely trying to hit?
So where I've seen the patients do the best is for females. I've seen them do the best somewhere between all of them below 25%.
Okay.
We try to get there. Where I've seen females do the best are the ones that are sitting somewhere between 20 and 23. And then males can go lower. A lot of my males that do really well are somewhere between 18 and 20.
Okay. Gotcha. That sounds good.
And that is not scientifically study driven. That's just where we see patients. Yeah, that's just where we see patients do the best.
Becca, is there anything you want to say on anything we've had so far? As we just finished, if not, no worries. We can keep rolling.
I don't think
so. Okay. So we've talked about kind of tapering off them and coming off. Becca, since you've been doing nutrition coaching longer in regards of experience on time, as you finish out with somebody, regardless of the GLP-1s, what seems to be the thing that almost like comes back and bites them? Like, where do they fall off the wagon 6 months later, a year later? Like, what's the thing that like keeps the challenge alive even after going through nutrition coaching and lifestyle change?
I don't know that there's one thing, but people tend to kind of let life get in the way of their good habits. Sometimes it's like a, maybe an illness in the family or a death in the family or something that can really like change somebody. Like they're all focused on that and they don't focus on themselves. And so they're not doing kind of the basic things. They're not getting daily movement in like they normally would. They're not sleeping as well. They're not planning their meals out or having any kind of preparation or planning around food. And so it's a lot. They kind of fall back into old habits. And that's usually what it is. But, or at least from what I've seen, it's some big life change. But it can be for a variety of reasons. I mean, sometimes not having someone holding you accountable and not having like a supportive family environment or friend group, right? Socially. If people are not kind of on the same page and supporting your goals, it can be really easy just to do what everyone else is doing. And I've found with some of my clients, like I'm the person that they can talk to about this stuff and that they feel like they can share with, and we can actually brainstorm together and problem solve. They don't have that person in their life. And so when we part ways, they kind of lose that. And then they kind of just, again, fall back into old habits.
Yeah, for sure.
I think if you don't have a supportive environment, it's challenging to continue what you're doing.
I would agree. I always butcher this a little bit, but there is the conversation on during the Vietnam War, all the soldiers that were over in Vietnam, like a good chunk of them became addicted to heroin. Have you guys both heard of this or no?
No.
Okay.
No.
So of course it was a very like dark time in regards of war. And they were worried that when these soldiers would come back to the US that they would bring heroin and you'd have this huge mass of people coming back like as heroin addicts. And when they actually moved back, I think it was like 1 in 3 stayed like heroin addicts. The rest of them like essentially went back to normal life. And the theory behind it was that the environment in which they were in there is so much different than the environment that they were in here. They come back to a loving, supportive family, a good support system, probably way harder access to get it than where they had it there. Over there, they're seeing a lot of like bad things. And so they're trying to like numb themselves, yada, yada. But when you come back here, it's like, oh, like, I'll just go back to normal life. And they didn't have as big of an issue as they thought, which goes to show that you are truly a product of your environment. We always hear the old adage of like, you are the people that you surround yourselves with. Which I think is really cool nowadays because you can surround yourself with podcasts and YouTube. And so you can choose who you're kind of surrounding yourself with, even if they're not there in person. But like you said, it really becomes like, what is your identity and what is the environment that you choose to put yourself in? Because it's a lot easier to choose to eat healthy. Me and my buddy went to dinner last night. We're both trying to stay good with our running and all this kind of stuff. It's very easy to choose a good place to go eat and not go get ice cream after. But if I went and hung out with my friend who's 50 pounds overweight, has slowly gained 5 pounds a year for the last 10 years and says like, F it, like I'm probably going to do the same thing.
Right.
And so I really think it is important as you go along this journey to have someone, whether you're paying them for coaching or you grab a friend and say, hey, can you do this with me? So we're in this together.
Absolutely.
I feel like sometimes that's like the actual long-term fix, right?
Yeah.
It's like you have to implement these little pieces, but it's how am I going to do this 5 years from now?
I know. I love it
10
when I
years from
have husband-wife teams come in
Oh,
together.
yes.
Yeah. Because otherwise you're like low-key battling them, right?
Absolutely.
Like you're working with the husband or the wife. They go home and their husband or wife isn't fully on board. And then there's like this weird tug of war between like coach and like spouse, or coach and best friend. And so if you can get them both on board, it's a game changer overall. I'm curious in your perspective, Kellie, this is a little bit of a hot question, but do you feel like GLP-1s are addressing a root cause or just managing a symptom of some sort? Do you feel like they're really getting down to like the issue?
It can be.
Okay.
So I have a couple of patients that actually come to mind that they were heading towards diabetes. They were definitely insulin resistant. And we were able to dose their GLP in a way in which, and then couple it obviously with nutrition strategies, but we were able to bring those insulin numbers down really quickly. And then it allowed them to make body composition changes much quicker once we were able to get the insulin down into a reasonable level. And I talk to patients all the time about, okay, once the A1C starts moving, that's a train that's a lot harder to pull back than if we can address it when, basically we're in the very early stages of that. Maybe the A1C hasn't started to move yet. And so I think that it can't, if that's the root cause, which obviously the root cause of insulin resistance is lifestyle habits too.
Yeah.
But if we can get that down to where, okay, we're not dealing with diabetes, then it makes it a lot easier, I think. So I think that getting to I guess, no. Root cause, probably not, because the root cause to all of that is pretty much lifestyle and, some genetics, I suppose, but for most people, it's, we've got to get to the lifestyle piece first. To really take care of the problem.
We've alluded to this some, and we've already kind of talked about some potential solutions, but why do you think lifestyle change is so challenging? If we feel like this is a tool to help us create that lifestyle change with less resistance kind of internally, why is lifestyle change so challenging for people, Becca?
It's uncomfortable. Changing your lifestyle is really hard to do. When you're doing things on repeat and it's just like going through the motions of the day, there's a lot of unhealthy habits that tend to pop up. Grabbing convenience foods, not getting out and just moving your body. There's a lot of sitting we do all day. We're very stressed people. We have stresses constantly going on in the back of our heads. And so managing your stress is a habit that you need to work on. Sleep. We have screens in our faces all the time. We have, again, thoughts going through our heads all the time. It's really hard to settle our bodies down and get a good night of sleep. And you have to actually put some intention and focus on those things to make them happen. And those are not like, sexy things. These are things like, okay, I have to force myself to shut off the TV, to put my phone, in a separate place and actually calm down and go to sleep. Like, that's not exciting. It's not like something that people are excited to do. It doesn't feel cool. But man, it feels good when you get a good night of sleep. And It's just like, oh, and then it kind of becomes like this thing, but you have to work on it, right? So I think it's just hard to start. And again, it kind of comes back to your environment and who's around you, who's supporting you. I think, I don't know if that is the whole answer to that question, but it's hard to address those things. Not impossible, but it can definitely be challenging.
So if we're looking at somebody who's wants to go through some weight loss, let's say they're trying to lose 40 pounds. In your experience, they come in and they start chatting with you. What is a good average timeline for losing 40 pounds?
Anywhere from probably up to a year, I would say, for me. Now, that's not necessarily if they're on GLP-1s, that can happen faster because
and that's what I want to contrast, right? So what's a normal expected timeline for losing 40 pounds? You suggest maybe about a year.
At least 6 months, but I like to be realistic too, and know that change is hard and it's not linear. And so, I'd say about a year is realistic.
How long would you normally work with them during that period? Like how many times a week or how many times total? What is that usual like?
For someone that has that kind of goal, I would like to work with them that whole time. Sometimes it's hard for people to commit to a whole year. Like, ooh, that's a long time. So I usually start with either 3 months or 6 months. Most people are about 3 months. And at that point, we can kind of see where they're at, and we can decide, okay, do you want to continue on, or would you like to, try to go this route, like take what you've learned and implement and continue on. So it kind of depends. I'm usually with people at least 3 months. I've seen clients for years though.
Somewhat ongoing.
Yeah, and do more of like monthly check-ins rather than every other week.
Gotcha. Same question on GLP-1s. Someone's wanting to lose 40 pounds. They come in, they go through all your screening, and they start kind of in that 9-week process. How quick are you usually seeing that 40 pounds come off?
Our goal is 1 to 3 pounds a week.
Okay. So if we average that at 2.
If we see much more than that, then we start really watching the lean mass, because when you start seeing, you can see, I had one patient that I think in the first week, he may have dropped, 7, 8, 10 pounds maybe. Most of that's probably more water weight than anything. When we start seeing inflammation come down, sometimes we'll see some of that shed. But yeah, we try to keep it somewhere in the 1 to 3 pound per week range is ideal.
If we did 2 pounds a week, that'd be 20 weeks, which is 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I tell people I like to see 1 to 1.5 pounds a week without a medication. I feel like that's a sustainable way. Like if I'm trying to help them eat an amount of food that is going to help them maintain muscle and have energy for their workouts, recover well from their workouts and all of that, we want to make sure that they're getting enough, but they're also enough in a caloric deficit that they can lose weight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think probably if you looked, I don't know, probably even studies, but you would see much greater than that per week. But that's
faster weight loss.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. There are times that patients of mine get mad at me and they're like, well, my friend lost 20 pounds in 2 weeks. Okay, that's not how we do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's
always the worst.
Because you absolutely can use those medications and you can kill someone's appetite to the point where they're basically just not eating. You're going to lose weight, but then at some point, that's not going to work anymore.
Yeah.
Which is why we take the approach that we do.
So what are some of the...
I was going to say, that's one of the biggest struggles I've seen with, and you're probably going to ask this later, but that's one of the biggest struggles I've seen with people who are on GLP-1 is they're not able to eat as much as they really need to.
Yeah.
Like it's hard.
Yeah.
And a lot of my clients are like, it's hard to eat in the morning. I don't feel hungry. I don't want dinner. And I'm encouraging, we're eating something.
Yeah.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Like we're going to eat. Even if you can't, you've got to eat something.
And that's what I always tell patients as we're adjusting dose, because we don't know what someone's magic dose is going to be until it happens. Yeah. And unfortunately, sometimes it happens and they're like, oh my gosh, I couldn't eat it all last week. Okay, then we need to dial it back down. We hit your threshold because everybody's different. And we're asking them to eat a lot of protein and a lot of fiber. And that's hard to do if you're not hungry.
Yes. Yeah. And so that's why I love the idea of someone actually working with a professional on this who can listen to them and get their feedback and change their dosage. For clients who come to me and don't have that, that's, I don't know who to direct them to. Like, well, you need to change. I don't know what to tell you because I don't know how the dosing works, but I know you're not eating enough. And so you need to change something. And so I try to recommend people actually go and talk to somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, because sometimes what they do is
buying off the internet and just hoping.
And sometimes there's just like canned. You do this for 4 weeks and then you increase to this the next 4 weeks. You increase to this for everybody. I've had people come in and they're like, it's not working. Okay, well, let's take a look at what you're eating.
Yeah.
And then once we do that, it's like, this is why that's not working because you're starving.
Yeah.
Right.
And now you're in protection mode.
Yeah. You're stuck in a different metabolic mode.
Exactly.
Ultimately.
Right.
I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. What are some of the requirements, Kellie, that you have or like the clinic has kind of created as a protocol in regards of getting started? So I know they check in with you weekly. You do a scan each week as well.
We don't do a scan every week.
Okay.
Some patients like it. And so if they want to scan every week, we do. Okay. We scan for sure at baseline, 5 weeks, 9 weeks, and then every 4 to 6 weeks after that. But yeah, I do have one patient that she scans every single week. And I mean, we see change. but it's
Yeah.
very minute. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's why I like to do it every 4 weeks or so, just because they can see a little bit maybe more impactful change.
What are some other things that you suggest? I know weight training is one of them, but like, what does that look
Absolutely.
like in regards of conversation with these people coming through?
So we talk about strength training is non-negotiable. We talk about the risks of losing your lean mass and things like that. We have partnered with people like Natural Wellness and Compelled and Hannah at
Mhm.
Foundations, because that's not my area of expertise whatsoever. And so a lot of times if they have physical challenges, I'll refer them to you,
Yeah.
because I know you can do the strength training and you can figure out if there's something else going on that might prohibit that. But yeah, so we've partnered with people here in the community that can help with the strength training component, because we talk to patients about that's a non-negotiable. To be in our program, they
Yeah.
have to be doing something.
So if 10 people come in a week and you have all these requirements, how many of them are kind of like, yeah, I'll just go somewhere else?
Not very many.
They actually kind of
Yeah.
stick with it.
Yeah.
Good.
Because I think that a lot of them end up being, they may be our patients in some other capacity, and the types of patients that come, much like Rebekah talked about, her clients are patients that have been here and they kind of have a wellness mindset, or want to help, age well and things like that. But even ones that don't, once we walk through what that looks like, if you choose the alternative to not do this and you only take the medication, I don't know if it's scared or what. But yeah, no, not very many.
Good. I think if you were to ask any of my friends and what I post on social or what I talk about, they'll probably say I don't like GLP-1s much at all.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is like I sit along the same line as you two in regards of I don't like how they're being marketed.
I
don't
agree.
like how they're being sold. And a lot of people, when I say I'm not a huge fan of them, they're like, yeah, but it helps people like lose weight and it helps blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I'm using it as a kickstart. And it's like, I'm sure you are,
Mhm.
but the majority of the population, I don't think is. And that's why we have this huge swing of like Ozempic butt and Ozempic teeth and all this stuff. Like there's medical professionals seeing a lot of changes in their caseloads on like what people are showing up with, because there's by and large a lot of people who are changing nothing.
Right.
And just doing the injections, like you said, like just following some random protocol online. And then they just look like deflated balloons because they've lost fat and muscle both. And you're just going to make this pendulum swing from 5 comorbidities of metabolic mess to essentially a completely malnutrition human with no muscle
Right.
mass and bone density issues. And we're just going to trade it for other issues. It's just going to be delayed.
Right.
But if it's done well through nutrition coaching, through like change in lifestyle, through strength training addition, but you just need a kick in the rear and like fast feedback, like, look, I'm losing weight. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I 100% get it. I'm down for that. I'm here to support it. But I don't think a large portion of the people are wanting that actual conversation.
I would agree.
In general, yeah. And so that's where I've decided, and this is why I got into social media in the first place, was like, if I'm going to sit here and essentially bitch about all this bad stuff, then I might as well be a contributing factor. And I think that's kind of like why you got into the weight loss
Absolutely.
in general, right? Where it's like,
Yeah.
well, if this is going to be taking place, let's like
Let's
figure
do
out a
it
way
the
to
right
do this.
way.
Wow, yeah, like,
exactly.
if there's going to be this funnel of people coming in asking for stuff, like here's going to be our stipulations, and then you can kind of like etch out this piece. Because I think 5 years from now, a lot of this noise will die down of some sort, right? Like people will
There'll be
move on to the
something
next
else.
thing or whatever it may be. Yeah. But then there'll be a chunk of people that they tried it that way. They tried just the random thing from the guy down the street. It didn't work, but they think it was the right drug. They think it was the right thing. I just need help with like the structure of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, as you continue to do it and nutrition coaching keeps taking place and, we keep doing what we're doing, more and more people will gradually gravitate towards like the right way, like what we're talking about in regards of actual true lifestyle change ultimately.
Yeah, I'm hoping that more of these kind of successful patient profile, I think. I'm hoping more those people are out there, so then their friends see that versus my friend lost 100 pounds in 6 months, and they see the 61-year-old who gained lean mass and lost 10, 12, 15% body fat. I hope that becomes the norm.
I agree.
Because that's then the attractive piece. And they used it, like I said, as a tool as opposed to
For sure. And like
the
getting off
answer.
of medication drugs because they no longer need it.
Right.
And things
Right.
like that. So what does dosing look like in general, when someone comes in and you start putting them on, you alluded a couple times to like less than the traditional dose on, I can't remember your words, but.
Yeah, so we use compounded primarily. We do have some patients that are getting coverage through their insurance company, and so our physicians manage that component of it. I don't deal with that piece as much, but we use the compounded primarily, and so I talk in units. But for what we use, 15 units is about equivalent to the 2.5 milligrams of the commercial dose, which is starting dose.
Okay.
And most of my patients, if they're employing the nutrition piece that we're working, I mean, they're eating the right protein, they're eating the right fiber and all of that. Most of them do really, really well, somewhere between 10 and 20. I don't know if I have anybody over 25 units and is doing really, really well. So that would be just slightly higher than the starting dose of a commercially branded.
So the starting dose of the commercial stuff, how high will people end up getting? If they're following some of those,
I think there's like a 10 or 15 milligram, I think.
As opposed to 2.5?
Uh-huh.
Gotcha.
So I like I said, I don't deal with that quite as much as the doctors do, so I don't know off the top of my head. So we don't usually get anywhere near that.
Okay.
The patients that I do have that are, 25, 30, maybe even 40 units, they're patients that have insulin resistance. And so we're using the higher doses to pull that insulin down and kind of like the food noise. So we can get it out of the way so then the body can do its job with the food. And so as that happens, as the insulin comes down, then we start pulling the dose down too, because they just don't need it. It's just highly effective at pulling down the insulin and keeping the blood sugars really nice and steady. So that's where you see if I have patients that are on a higher dose, that's generally why.
You said compound. I don't know all the different medications. I know there's Mounjaro, there's Ozempic, Tirzepatide. Is that a
one?
One?
So no, Tirzepatide is the compounded version of Mounjaro and Zepbound.
Okay.
And then Semaglutide is the compounded version of Ozempic Wegovy.
Gotcha. Are these all the same things with just different names on them, or does
for the most part
like another one better?
No. I mean the mechanism of action is the same.
Gotcha.
The compounded version that we use also has a B6 compounded with it, which can help with some side effect management. But yeah.
What are some of the side effects that people go through?
So with semaglutide, you see very frequently gastric upset, nausea, vomiting, headache, fatigue, those kinds of things. Tirzepatide, we really don't see a lot of side effects. They're the same. If you list them out as the potentials, they're the same.
Yeah, it's just
we just don't see it. Yeah,
for sure. Is that something that happens just in the first week as they get used to it, or is that something that will
usually? I've had a few patients, handful, that just could not adjust to semaglutide. They for the long haul. We were at 5 units and could never get past it, and had vomiting and things. And so, most of those we were able to successfully transition to Tirzepatide. But yeah, semaglutide's hard on people.
How do they administer this? You said shots. Is it once a week, once a day? How often?
Once a day.
Okay.
Once a week.
Okay.
Gosh darn it. Yes, once a week.
Okay. And then so if someone comes in on Monday, you guys give them their first shot, you chat with them. Monday the next week, are you debating whether you're going to give them the same unit again or adjusting it each time, right before you put it in?
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. And then as they have you had anybody transition back off of them yet? Have you seen that all the way through?
Yeah.
How long are some of those people on it before they're able to happily and comfortably come off?
It honestly is so varied. Okay. We've got people that maybe it took a year, but they had a long ways to go, and they maybe had some insulin resistance that was in there and those types of things. We have, I have a gentleman right now that I'm working with. I think he's only in week 4, and he's brought his body fat percentage down by like 4% already. And lean mass has gone up. So he may only be on 12 weeks or so.
Okay.
It just depends. But he is like so dialed in. Like you look at his diaries, I'm like, this is like the poster child.
For sure.
He's active, all the things. So I think I have another female, she's like 61. I've been working with her for probably about 10 months now. She kind of plateaued. She had quite a ways to go. Like, I think she started out at maybe like 41% body fat or something. She kind of plateaued. We ran another insulin and we found out we've got some insulin issues and brought that back down. Within 8 weeks, we had lost 10% body fat by bringing the insulin down.
What do you
And so for that, it was a combination of really targeted nutrition strategy. It was a lot of fiber, a lot of protein. So it's not something I would have left someone on for a long period of time, but it was just really targeted. And then we upped her Tirzepatide.
So Tirzepatide went up, and then you had a big diet change for a temporary period.
Yeah, for really a temporary period. And so now we've transitioned her back to just her regular strategy. We will repeat her insulin again in 8 weeks to make sure it stays down. We've brought the Tirzepatide back down.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so...
I'm going to finish up with one more question with Becca on some takeaways. And if you want to add anything to it, you're more than welcome to. I've got 2 or 3 other just fun questions to finish out, and then we'll be good for today. Becca, if somebody's listening right now and they just want some essentially guardrails, like everybody should be eating blank, blank, blank in a day, whether it's certain grams of protein, certain grams of fiber, a certain amount of servings of vegetables. Like if you meet these 3 things, you're probably going to be catching most of the good stuff when it comes to nutrition. What are some guardrails that you put up either for yourself, for clients, for your kids? What are some of those?
It's hard to do that just for, blanket, but generally speaking, because everyone's different, but generally speaking, I recommend getting protein at least 3 meals a day. I tend to have people like, rather than tracking grams, and some people are great at that, but like using their palm, like, hey, get at least a palm for females, maybe a palm and a half or 2 for active females, and then for men, probably 2 palms of protein on their plate 3 times a day. Include vegetables and fruits in there too. Like eating balanced meals. This is all basic stuff. It's like basic.
But this is my point though, is the majority of people don't even know this.
I know. But these are the things that you can't market to people because they're like, yeah, boring. Tell me what
It's like, don't worry, there's been guidelines about this like the whole time and no one's following it.
Yeah, so. If you can get 4 to 6 fruit and vegetable servings a day.
How much is a serving? Like 1 apple. Is that a serving?
Or an orange or a banana or a handful of grapes. Yeah, any of that stuff counts.
Small side note, I thought it was hilarious. A friend of mine would eat like 2 or 3 oranges like at like lunch or at snacks at school. And I'm like, is it okay to eat that many? And it's like, meanwhile, like nobody questions when I eat a whole bag of Doritos. Like, oh, that's good.
Oh, yeah, right.
But it's like you eat what feels like a lot of a healthy food. And you're like, is that going to hurt you eating that much? It's like, right. What? Like nobody asks that questions when I slam a whole, Big Mac meal. But
so okay. True. Oh, which is that's a whole other topic. Oh my gosh, we could have a whole podcast on expectations around food and thoughts around food like that.
Okay, so 2 to 3 servings of fruits and vegetables.
4 to 6 ideally in a day. But for most people, it's like, hey, let's start with 1 or 2 servings a day. Let's do that. Sneak those in if you have to, like mix them in other things. And that'll help with fiber for sure. Trying to eat whole grains versus refined carbohydrates.
So like whole wheat bread instead of white bread?
Lots of problems. Well, yes, for sure. That's definitely a step up. But like actual grains like oats corn, or quinoa or, there are lots of options out there. But things that are more closely resemble their natural state versus being ground up and completely changed into some other product.
Totally fair. I think they call that processed, right? Ultra processed.
Yeah, try to avoid that
the least processed possible.
Right, yeah. And again, you don't have to be perfect with that, but including more whole foods in your diet.
Perfect. Right. That sounds great. Okay, to finish out, I do want to ask, Kellie, what is your favorite junk food? I know. There is no bad food, Becca. There's no bad food. But if you had really bad food that you're like, I'm just going to go eat all this.
Probably chips, salsa, queso.
Okay, what kind of chips? There's like a lot of chips out there.
Well, like a corn chip.
Oh, wow. You just straight chips and salsa.
Well, I'm gluten-free, so that kind of limits my options when it comes to
They're like
that.
rice chips? I don't know.
There are,
what
but
it is.
corn's better.
Okay.
It tastes better.
Okay, so chips and salsa. Is there a specific salsa?
There is a place called Cancun in Hutchinson.
Yeah.
That I love their salsa.
Perfect. Okay.
Luckily now my son has a girlfriend whose mother makes amazing salsa as well, so I get that regularly.
She's a keeper.
Exactly.
What's your favorite junk food?
Oh man, I agree. I love chips and queso. But honestly, I'm more of a sweet girl. I like all the baked things, cookies, cupcakes, brownies, all those things.
Any and everything. No discrimination on the
Pie.
sweets.
Cheesecake.
Yeah. Those are all good, but I'm definitely more of a salty, crispy type of thing.
Sure.
Kellie, what's your favorite activity for exercise with your friends or family?
I love to hike near water.
Gotcha. So like
I don't even care what kind of water. Yeah, exactly. Not where I live.
Right.
Santa Fe Lake is pretty solid.
I've heard.
It's pretty stable waterfall out there, a cool creek, and they even have some mountain biking trails. So that's a solid one.
Nice.
Favorite place you've been to do that?
Probably Hawaii.
That's fair. I've been there as well. Maui had a pretty cool place.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite exercise?
Oh, I love hiking. Nobody really around, like in my family, loves hiking as much as I do. So I usually go with girls to do that. But mountain biking is something that my husband and I do together, and that is super fun.
They go to bed, like once every 6 weeks.
Nice.
I wish. In my dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one. What is your favorite hack to eat healthy junk food? I think I typed that wrong. Hold on real quick.
Healthy junk food?
Yeah. Like, I know you guys are probably both going to laugh at this, but like protein Pop-Tarts. Not Kroger's brand, but like the 20 gram of protein thing. Like, what's your, how do I put this? Okay. So here's an example. I've been wanting cereal lately, but I'm trying to eat in a caloric deficit to lose some body fat. And so I found, this is so funny. I found if I put the cereal in my daughter's, she's 4, her cereal bowl, it's tiny. And then I eat with her spoon, which is also tiny. It's like I get 100 bites of cereal because it's like such a small bite. So it feels like I eat a lot. So it's like I get to eat like my like Rice Chex cereal, which is generally like not super nutritional, but I feel like I eat a lot. So it's like it's like a hack to eat junk food, but feel like I'm eating more, but I'm actually eating like an actual serving.
Okay.
Do you guys have any of those? Or like people make like protein brownies or different stuff like that, like a healthy version of a junk food.
So one thing I really like is I'll take blueberries and I'll melt them down and then I'll put them over one of the protein yogurts, and it tastes almost like a cheesecake.
You melt them down?
Well, you heat them up and they kind of become a little syrupy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you pour that over yogurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not exactly like a cheesecake, but it tastes pretty close.
I'm trying to figure out if you're doing this like in your kitchen on a stove and looking like a chef, or if it's like you looking like me when I was 12 thinking I was like this chef and I'm like actually just microwaving all this stuff and there's like this weird concoction going on my kitchen counter.
So sometimes it depends.
Yeah.
If I'm in a hurry, it's the microwave and I just dump it in the container.
Yeah.
And if I'm not in a hurry, then I will put it on the stove.
Deal. Do you have any weird craziness like this?
I don't know that I have anything.
This girl shows up eating lunch like she's
crazy.
a rabbit.
I'm sure.
It's literally just
Yeah.
like the produce section in a Tupperware box
And to
with a
defend
fat chicken
that,
breast on top.
I will just tell you that is the easiest way for me. There's no thinking.
I
I know what I'm going to
it's pretty
have.
solid.
I know I'm going to get my vegetables and protein in. It's easy and it makes sense for me. It's not for everybody, that's for sure. I don't know that I have something like that. I will say, though, the whole craze with we're adding protein to everything, I think is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It needs to go away. Like
I would agree with you.
I saw like instant mashed potatoes with protein
Yes.
the other day, and I was like,
I just want to
we
clarify.
don't need this
I
in our
did
lives.
look at that. It went from 2 grams to 4 grams.
Oh my
Exactly.
gosh. Just-
That's the problem. You
just
have to
don't.
read those labels because sometimes you can
Yes.
get one that's not labeled protein. I did this with pasta.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because there was one labeled protein and I hadn't seen it before and I don't eat it, but I was going to buy it for my son and I looked at it and it was not different than it was
just a yellow
slightly
box.
different.
I think
Yes.
from 8 to 10 grams of protein.
Maybe, but it wasn't anything to write home about.
But it was
Right.
also like 87 cents for the box.
Yes.
Or $2.99.
Yes,
And it's all just
exactly.
marketing.
Yes.
And it makes me crazy.
Yeah.
But they're just playing to this whole idea that we're talking here, like we need to make sure we're getting enough protein. But man, just go get it from whole food sources. Get it from
Exactly.
actual protein sources instead of having it added
Whole
to
Foods
everything.
literally are not allowed to market.
Right.
Like beef.
True.
They're not allowed to market. Like, hey, buy our beef. It's like, you can't. It's just, there's just beef there. You know?
Beef, it's what's for dinner. That's
there
marketing
you go.
right there.
That sticks around really good. So, anyway, the way you stay healthy is just not do the sexy stuff. Just do all the basics.
Be boring and be
Sleep
consistent.
good, eat good, show up. And honestly, if there's one takeaway, like find a friend or find a group of friends that are wanting to also live healthy like you, and everything will become easier. It'll just naturally fall into place probably. Anyway, Kellie, thank you so much for coming on. All of her contact stuff will be down below. So if you want to go get some drugs to help you out with this weight loss, she's your girl. If you want to talk to straight to a nutrition coach, Becca's your girl. If you want both, you're probably going to get better faster. So Becca, Kellie, thank you both for coming on. And hopefully today you learned a little bit more how to heal without harm.